You speak too quickly. You explain too much. You defend yourself before you are attacked. You fill silence as if it were danger. But silence is not weakness. It is weight. When you speak immediately, you reveal your position, your insecurity, your need for approval, your emotional state. When you remain silent, you reveal nothing. And what reveals nothing cannot be easily controlled. Silence creates tension, and tension shifts power. Most people are uncomfortable in quiet. They rush to explain, to justify, to soften. They mistake noise for strength. But strength does not rush. Strength observes. When someone challenges you and you react instantly, you surrender leverage. You show them where to press. You show them what disturbs you. But when you pause, when you let their words hang, you force them to confront their own sound. Silence reflects. It makes the other person aware of themselves, and most people are not comfortable there. Silence is not absence. It is control. Control of timing, control of reaction, control of narrative. The one who speaks first often seeks validation. The one who waits often holds authority. Authority does not chase understanding. It allows others to reveal themselves. In conflict, silence unsettles. In negotiation, silence pressures. In conversation, silence commands attention. Not because it is aggressive, because it is deliberate. You have been trained to fill gaps, to respond immediately, to prove you are competent, to prove you are intelligent, to prove you are right. But proving is often insecurity disguised as confidence. The secure do not rush to explain. They choose when to speak. They choose what to reveal, and more importantly, what not to. There is power in withholding reaction. When insulted, silence denies escalation. When questioned, silence demands clarity. When accused, silence forces evidence. Notice how uncomfortable you become when a room goes quiet. Your mind searches for something to say. Your body wants relief. That discomfort is the space where discipline is formed. To control your tongue is to control your exposure. To control your exposure is to control your position. Silence is not passive, it is strategic stillness. Like a judge who listens before ruling. Like a leader who does not need to interrupt. Like a mind that is not easily provoked. When you master silence, you master reaction. And when you master reaction, you become difficult to manipulate. But understand this carefully. Silence becomes powerful only when it is chosen, not when it is avoidance, not when it is fear. Chosen silence is strength. Compelled silence is weakness. In this first step, you learn one discipline. Pause before you respond. Let the other person sit in their own words. Let the room adjust to your stillness. You do not owe immediate explanation. You owe controlled response. And that difference changes everything. Silence unsettles people. Not because it is loud, because it is undefined. When you speak, others know where you stand. They can categorize you, measure you, predict you. When you remain silent, you become unreadable. And unreadability creates tension. Human beings crave certainty. They want signals, agreement, disagreement, approval, rejection. Silence gives none. So the mind begins to fill the gap. Are they angry? Did I say something wrong? Are they judging me? Are they unimpressed? Notice what happens. Your silence forces them inward. Most people are uncomfortable with introspection. They prefer reaction. Noise distracts from self-awareness. Silence removes that distraction. This is why controlled silence feels powerful. It shifts the psychological burden. Instead of you defending yourself, they begin evaluating themselves. In negotiation, the first to break silence often concedes. They offer more information, more explanation, more compromise, because the quiet feels heavy and they want relief. Silence increases perceived confidence, not because you say nothing, but because you show no urgency to prove yourself. Urgency signals insecurity. Stillness signals certainty. Think about arguments. When someone attacks verbally, they expect reaction, anger, defense, counterattack. If you respond immediately, the exchange escalates. If you pause, look at them, and say nothing, the rhythm breaks. Their energy loses momentum. They begin to hear themselves, and often they soften. Silence disrupts emotional contagion. Emotions spread through reaction. Without reaction, they weaken. There is another layer. Silence preserves information. Every time you speak, you reveal something. Your priorities, your triggers, your insecurities, your intentions. Every word is data. When you remain silent, you gather data instead of giving it. You observe patterns, tone shifts, contradictions, body language. Most people are too busy talking to notice. The quiet person in the room often sees the most, not because they are mysterious, because they are attentive. But understand the danger here. Silence can become manipulation, used not for clarity, but for dominance, used not for control of self, but control of others. That is where the weapon sharpens. Silence amplifies perception. If your internal state is calm, silence radiates composure. If your internal state is resentful, silence radiates hostility. Silence magnifies what you are. That is why some silence feels powerful, and some silence feels punishing. One is grounded, the other is charged. When someone gives you the silent treatment, it does not feel composed. It feels aggressive, cold, withholding, because that silence is not chosen from strength. It is chosen from avoidance or control. Controlled silence is measured. Punitive silence is emotional. They look similar, but the energy is different. To master silence, you must first master your internal state. Otherwise, your quiet becomes a signal of tension, and tension reveals more than words. Silence unsettles because it removes noise. And when noise disappears, people are left with themselves. Most are not prepared for that. That is why the one who is comfortable in silence holds quiet leverage. Not because they intimidate, because they are undisturbed. And being undisturbed is rare. If you're done living in distraction, like and subscribe. This channel exists to help you protect your attention and build something real. Silence is not always strength. Sometimes it is punishment. There is a version of silence that is controlled, and there is a version that is calculated. They look the same from the outside. Inside, they are different. Controlled silence regulates yourself. Punitive silence controls others. One is restraint. The other is manipulation. You have seen it. Someone withdraws completely. No response, no acknowledgement, no clarity. Not because they are composed, because they want you to feel unstable. The silent treatment is not discipline, it is pressure. It forces the other person into confusion. They begin to question themselves. Did I go too far? Did I offend them? What did I do? Silence becomes a tool of dominance. This is where silence becomes a weapon. It creates imbalance. It withholds resolution. It creates emotional suspense. And suspense exhausts people. There is something dangerous here. If you use silence to avoid discomfort, you weaken. If you use silence to control others, you corrupt. Silence must be anchored in clarity, not ego, not resentment, not fear. Many people confuse withdrawal with strength. They believe shutting down is composure. It is not. Shutting down is protection. Protection is not authority. Authority does not need to disappear. Authority can speak calmly. Authority can engage without losing posture. When you go silent because you are hurt, you are reacting. When you go silent because you are angry, you are suppressing. When you go silent to make someone chase you, you are manipulating. None of these are strength. True silence does not seek reaction. It does not try to teach a lesson. It does not try to create insecurity. It simply refuses unnecessary noise. There is a thin line between control and cruelty, and silence can cross it easily. The absence of words can feel heavier than an insult, because the mind fills gaps with worst-case assumptions. If you understand this, you understand the responsibility. Silence amplifies psychological space. Used carelessly, it damages. Used deliberately, it stabilizes. Ask yourself, when you are silent, what is your intention? To regulate yourself or to disturb someone else? If your silence is designed to create anxiety, you are not powerful. You are insecure. If your silence is designed to preserve clarity, you are disciplined. The difference is internal. Silence becomes dangerous when it hides truth, when conversations that require courage are avoided, when accountability is delayed, when necessary words are withheld. There are moments where silence is cowardice, moments where speech is required, moments where clarity demands expression. Knowing when to speak is as important as knowing when to stay quiet. A weapon can protect or destroy. Silence is no different. Used correctly, it prevents escalation. Used incorrectly, it creates resentment. Used selfishly, it fractures trust. The disciplined do not weaponize silence. They wield it, carefully, intentionally, without emotional charge. The next step is learning the difference between strategic quiet and fearful withdrawal, because one strengthens character, the other erodes it. Silence is not about disappearing. It is about choosing. There is a moment before every response, a thin space between stimulus and action. Most people collapse that space. They react instantly, defend instantly, attack instantly. You don't have to. Mastery is not found in speaking well. It is found in deciding when speech is necessary. If silence is used to avoid truth, speak. If silence is used to punish, stop. If silence is used to regulate, keep it. Your silence should protect your clarity, not threaten someone else's stability. There is strength in refusing escalation. There is weakness in refusing responsibility. The disciplined mind does not fear words. It is simply not ruled by them. When provoked, it pauses. When insulted, it evaluates. When challenged, it responds, if needed. Silence becomes powerful when it is calm, not cold. Calm. Cold silence seeks reaction. Calm silence seeks understanding. If you are silent, let it be because you are steady, not because you are wounded. If you speak, let it be because it serves clarity, not because you feel pressured. This is the final distinction. Silence as discipline strengthens your position. Silence as ego isolates you. One builds authority, the other builds distance. When you control your tongue, you control escalation. When you control escalation, you control energy. And when you control energy, you control outcomes. Do not rush to prove yourself. Do not rush to defend yourself. Do not rush to fill empty space. Empty space is not your enemy. It is your leverage. Use silence to listen. Use silence to observe. Use silence to prevent unnecessary damage. But do not hide behind it. Speak when truth requires it. Stay quiet when ego demands it. That is balance. If this sharpened your awareness, like the video. If you value control over reaction, subscribe. No noise, just discipline, and the power of chosen stillness.